Hello and welcome to this highlight special. My name is Kiamo Musipili. The Inaugural Gauteng Investment Conference is set to take place on the 3rd of April, aimed at attracting 800 billion rand in investment over the next 3 years. The Gauteng Investment Conference intends to highlight the key role Gauteng has to play in South Africa and the rest of the continent. The Gauteng Investment Conference launch market open event convened at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange earlier this year to provide insights ahead of the event.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Since January 2024, the Gauteng region has managed to secure just under 11 billion in foreign direct investment from 35 different companies, creating 3,800 jobs. So that's just over a year. If you look at the effect that can have over compounded years, it will be quite exciting to see how that will get translated into growth, not just for the province, but also for growth for an economic perspective at our country level. Gauteng's unemployment rate, on the other hand, continues to rise. And while key traditional growth nodes such as manufacturing, construction, and wholesale and retail face quite challenging contractions, initiatives and focus that conferences such as these host will really become quite deliberate in making the African zone quite competitive and focusing on the value potential that we can unlock, not only as a province, but what this means for our country and continent. I know I might be preaching to the choir here with people who are aligned with the same objectives, but it really is quite heartening to see us collectively come together to address some of these challenges and really to contribute to the growth and the economy of the province. So we really understand the importance of this engagement and are thrilled and humbled to have hosted it here at the JSC. And we look forward to the role that we can play in this crucial dialogue, not only as the exchange, but as an ecosystem collaboratively with the Gauteng region. The JSC has come through quite a transformational journey, probably in the face of what was necessary for us as a country. And what we've done is try to innovate some of our products and offerings as we've heard the needs of development. Now, we all know at a country level, some of the national agenda objectives has been to really get our fiscus right, to get our services right, such as infrastructure, transport, electricity, to get growth, stimulation, and capital deployed in our country, and then to create better jobs and to lead to the top-line ambitions that the country has of a north of 2% short-term GDP delivery, and let's celebrate to a 3 to 5% ambitious GDP delivery in any of the value that we unlock. So what we've done at the JSC is we've made concerted efforts to say, how can we be a home to raise capital? You'll see many of the team around here, but we've launched things like sustainability bonds, where people become more astute towards sustainability initiatives. And these are home to things such as green bonds. We even have a derivative for water bond. One of our issuers listed the first gender-linked bond, bonds in the agriculture space. So really anything linked to sustainable development goals. And that is a medium where even investors from local and foreign counterparts are looking to be conscientiously deployed in their capital. We've also really tried to showcase South Africa on the global arena. We hosted our SA Tomorrow conference in New York and London, where we traveled with key public sector ministers and government officials to tell the South African story and to really say, out of the GNU, we have resurrected. A year ago, we were still talking about an electricity crisis, and pleased to say, through collaboration and deployment of liberal reforms as well as capital investment, we sit here and we say we are no longer in a crisis, but we are in a really collaborative approach of how we can get out of these situations. So I'm quite excited, MEC, to see the conversations that come at a province-specific level. We see some of the things that work and don't work at our other provinces, and we're here to welcome you at the JSE and assure you that we are committed to this journey and look forward to conversations we can have together for growth and unlock of our beautiful, bustling province, Gauteng.
It is a call for both domestic and international investors to support the transformative initiatives in Gauteng grounded in sustainable development. The second objective of the investment conference is to showcase high growth sectors in Gauteng due to its strong quaternary sector and investment in reindustrialization. The province offers numerous high potential investment sectors, and this conference will highlight transformative opportunities from advanced manufacturing to the digital economy, reinforcing Gauteng's position as a prime destination for impactful investment aligned with regional growth priorities. The third objective of the investment conference is to enhance project preparation and execution. This will ensure that projects are well prepared with a focus on risk mitigation, feasibility, and investor readiness. So we will be presenting those projects which are ready, and we will unveil them there. And as I've explained, there are things and steps that we are taking to ensure that these things happen. And one of the projects is the expansion of Gautrain to reach West Rand and the Vaal, and the introduction of a new train from here to Polokwane. So this approach aims to secure impactful investments that contributes to Gauteng's sustainable development. But we also have what we call GFIP2. What do you know as e-tolls? So e-tolls was the first phase. There's a second and third phase. And the maybe bad or good news, depending on where you're standing, the user pay principle will kick in. Because if we don't expand our freeways, we're going to be gridlocked, we're going to have problems. So we are continuing. So those of you who are in construction and you have money, you'll understand that there's a lot of, we want to build more hospitals, want to build more schools. So we'll unveil those there. So linked to this is the fourth objective, which is to foster local and international collaboration. The conference will serve as a collaborative forum for public and private entities, fostering partnerships that drive regional growth. We aim to create networks that promote strategic investments and align with shared objectives for a prosperous Gauteng. And the fifth objective of the investment conference is to enhance Gauteng's business environment, as I've alluded earlier on, by addressing barriers to doing business in Gauteng. We aim to make our region more accessible and attractive for investment. And I think those of you who are in business will know better, and that's why most businesses have moved from the CBD, because it's not a good place to do business. It's not clean, it's not safe, and we are attending to those. And that's why in the next 2 weeks, I would be convening a session with business called Business Against Crime, because we would unveil our plan of fighting crime to business, and we'll be asking business to put money. We will also be telling you how much we are putting. So we are focused on creating a streamlined, investor-friendly environment conducive to both new investments and business expansion. We will showcase policy and regulatory improvements that position Gauteng as a preferred destination for business expansion and new ventures. Those who are in construction, you will know it used to take 365 days to get an EIA approval in Gauteng. It now takes 3 months, and we want to reduce that to 1 month. So it's just but one of many regulatory achievements we'll be showcasing. The sixth objective is to advance sustainable and inclusive investments. Gauteng is committed to investments that promote sustainability and inclusivity. And as the seventh administration in the province, we have defined sustainable and inclusive development as our key priority. This is rooted in an appreciation of the geohistories that have shaped both our province and South Africa as a whole. We aspire to position our province as a leader in climate-smart, socially inclusive growth, inviting investors who value environmentally responsible development that benefits communities without posing threat to the environment. We'll also be making our position known about the post-mining situation in Gauteng, not in this conference, but you will see in due course. The sustainability of our economic development is dependent on the creation of jobs, which is a crucial component to improved human development. Thus, the seventh objective of the investment conference is to support economic transformation and job creation. Our focus is on projects that not only transform Gauteng's economy, but also uplift communities, foster skills development, and enable sustainable jobs. These initiatives will emphasize inclusive industrialization, benefiting small businesses, especially township-based and historically disadvantaged groups. We seek to ensure that those who have been on the margins of productive economic activities, such as women, youth, and persons with disabilities, are included in the economy. There are various developments and initiatives underway that will be of particular interest for investors, some of which are being launched this month. One of these is the OR Tambo International Airport Precinct. Precinct 1 was completed in 2024, featuring 12 buildings focused on agro-processing and jewelry and diamond beneficiation. The jewelry manufacturing park was established to boost beneficiation. It houses the second largest food processing factory in the country and contributed significantly to job creation. The precinct created over 2,500 operational and more than 2,000 construction jobs. Mineral beneficiation is an important component of our inclusive and sustainable economic development agenda. This is because it supports South Africa's mineral beneficiation strategy to convert raw minerals into high-value products, which drives inclusive and sustainable economic growth, creating more jobs and higher value add. In addition to this, our reindustrialization priority is anchored on investment in manufacturing. We aim to revive the jewelry and diamond industry, which declined from over 5,000 to under 100 cutters and polishers since the early 2000s. And significantly, beneficiation prevents exporting jobs and economic opportunities, ensuring value is retained within South Africa. So the launch of the Precinct 2 at the OR Tambo Center this month marks a significant milestone in Gauteng's broader investment strategy, reinforcing the province's commitment to fostering economic growth, industrial expansion, and job creation. As a key component of the OR Tambo Special Economic Zone, Precinct 2 will unlock new opportunities for investors and businesses, further strengthening Gauteng's position as a hub for high-value manufacturing and beneficiation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we launch the Gauteng Investment Conference, it is important to not only expand Gauteng's global investment reach, but to also ensure that the envisaged growth and development is to the benefit of the broader region and continent. We look forward to welcoming local, regional, and global businesses who are keen to develop a lasting and mutually beneficial partnership anchored on values of inclusivity and sustainable development.
The Gauteng province boasts a real GDP of $128 billion and accounts for 34% of South Africa's GDP. We spoke to Saki Zamxaka, who outlined investor appetite towards the province and also mentioned some of the plans in place that he plans to take advantage of in Gauteng.
Gauteng's appetite for investment is big. We're the largest economy in the country. We're one of the largest economies in the continent. We know investments as percentage of GDP are a bit low, and we need that for us to create growth, employment and development in all of the countries. So attracting investments is very important to us, and we've been doing a series of roadshows. So the MEC launched today officially the date, but we've participated at the mining Indaba, trying to talk to investors, show them what opportunities there are in Gauteng. But these big numbers we mention are not just numbers. We want people to see what are the actual projects being invested in Gauteng, what are the opportunities, and with these investments, what can come out of them. For example, you have state-owned companies that are putting money into infrastructure and logistics. As those pick up, then business can get ready to ramp up production because they now know that the logistics are being sorted out.
You speak about numbers. A key figure that I'm interested in is, I know that a mandate for this particular conference is to raise 800 billion rand in the next 3 years. Can you just give us a deeper delve into what that looks like and how those efforts are going to be achieved?
So we've seen numbers that suggest, maybe there's about 30-40 billion dollar gap in investments required for the kind of economic growth that we need. So being Gauteng, one of the biggest provinces, we're saying, okay, let's sit around the table, look at what it is that is being invested in Gauteng already, because there's a pipeline of projects that various investors, state-owned companies, government, municipalities are putting into capital expenditure. So we want those to be known, as I said, so that people can plan, knowing what is being repaired, what is being recapitalized, or even expansion. And with that can be new investors who say, oh, okay, as the expenditure in water infrastructure, maybe a portion of it is government, but maybe a portion of it can be private sector. And then new private sector projects that are going to be invested. So already, as we build up into this, we've met various entities who've already indicated their commitments on what they're going to do. There is a biochemicals plant, for example, in Heidelberg that wants to be there, but the condition is government needs to put bulk infrastructure. And that's where you then say, okay, these are things that are required, these are planned investments, but the infrastructure that's there is not sufficient, but this is going to bring not only cash injection into the area, but sustain jobs over time.
I want to speak about South Africa's current position. There is a renewed interest in the country amid the current G20 presidency, and Gauteng has an added advantage as it is the destination for where all major gatherings will happen. What are some of the ways the province is taking advantage of this?
Well, G20, the president has said it's not just about South Africa, it's about the rest of the continent, because it brings a seat to the table of the continent to put up its own agenda. We're seeing a world which is becoming bilateral more than it is multilateral, so countries are negotiating on the basis of what's to their own benefit as nation states. So we're then using some of these institutions and gatherings and where multilateralism still exists to push agendas that are progressive. And for the continent, the main thing is growth and development. We have probably the highest growth potential in the continent. We probably now still have the highest gross margins on people who are making investments, but that is partly because the risk is perceived to be still a bit high, because we may be lacking infrastructure and a few other things that are required. So G20 is going to be a big focus on the continent, not just South Africa. But of course, for us, there are immediate benefits. Tourism is going to benefit as many people come here. But with it, there will be repeat visits, because now people would have seen, like now we're at the GIC in Sandton, they will just understand the sheer scale of South Africa and what it can do.
And I want to circle back to, as you mentioned, the event is being held at the JSE. What is the significance of that for you as a province?
Well, the JSE, has a large market cap. It's usually in one of the top 10 exchanges in the world, depending on where the market cap is. So it's a very significant player in the country, in the continent, in the world, in capital markets, and they drive the movement of capital. And sometimes they are a barometer of how you are perceived, how people are buying your equities, and how there's flows and outflows into it. So it's symbolically it's very important. But other than that, we're also symbolizing the fact that we're looking at people who want to invest in the economy.
MEC Lebogang Maile, who made mention of the concerted efforts to create jobs. I want to know, particularly from this particular Gauteng Investment Conference, what are the projections for job creation?
We know what are the job numbers required for unemployment. So the target for the province has been that by 2030, the number of people that are employed is halved as a minimum. So that is the target. With investments, we often avoid linking a particular investment to a number of jobs until the investment is done and you know actually how many jobs have been created. These tend to be very theoretical. So we're not modeling, saying, 800 billion is going to translate to X number of jobs. We want to say, can we create an economy that works, it absorbs people, and then there's going to be jobs that are created.
Precinct 2 in the OR Tambo International Airport Special Economic Zone was launched in February. Focused on pharmaceuticals and medical device manufacturing, the project seeks to significantly enhance Gauteng's attractiveness to investors and catalyze its potential as an investment hub. Earlier, CNBC Africa's Dewald Rodemeyer spoke to Thandiwe Ngobe, the Chief Executive Officer at the Gauteng Industrial Development Zone, for more.
Recently, the Gauteng government launched the second precinct at the GIC, which also creates a significant milestone because it shows the expansion of the economy and it shows the expansion of the OR Tambo SEZ. So I think what I want to get from you is, how does this align with the Gauteng provincial government's goal to attract the 800 billion rand investment over the next 3 years?
Okay, so the SEZ, one of the motives or the core reasons for the existence of an SEZ is to attract investors or attract investments to the country. So because that's what we do, that's the reason that we are closely aligned to the Gauteng Investment Conference. It's to ensure that we're able to attract the right investors, right, in the sense that they're going to come in and be able to manufacture locally, secondly, create jobs locally, and also do a little bit of skills development within the context of the industry within which they operate.
Now, leading on to that, how does this precinct 2 differ from precinct 1? Are you looking at different kind of tenants?
Yes, we are focusing on different industries or sectors of the economy. Precinct 1 would have focused on mineral beneficiation and a little bit of agro-processing. Precinct 2 is going to largely focus on the production of pharmaceuticals and medical devices in the country. So it's anchored by pharmaceuticals and medical devices. And then we're looking at other industries that could also propel the economy. We're looking at bringing agro-processing through the production of anything that has to do with cannabis, for example, within the context of the pharmaceuticals and also within the context of agro-processing.
That actually leads me nicely into the follow-up question as to why focusing on a health sector for this precinct?
I think for us it was so easy. So during COVID, we were doing a lot of work, assessing the impact of COVID on the country, on the economy. And one of the things that we picked up was that we import so much. From a medical devices, pharmaceutical perspective, we do not produce much in our country. So we took a decision that we're going to change that particular landscape. We're going to change the trajectory of the pharmaceuticals industry and medical devices industry. So we started engaging with the industry. And that's the reason we then made a decision through partnerships with industry captains or captains of industry, with government. We took a decision that Precinct 2 is going to be anchored around pharmaceuticals and medical devices, with the target being the SADC region and just the African continent as a whole.
And it's still nicely close proximity to one Africa's largest airport facilities. But how big is Precinct 2? Because off camera, you said there's hectare 1, hectare 2. So what's the size of the precinct 2?
The total size of the land is 29 hectares. So where we are standing constitutes 25 hectares, and across the road, it's two land parcels of 2 hectares each. So it all comes together and becomes 29 hectares. But where we are standing is 25 hectares.
And this is all part of the SEZ development plan.
Absolutely. So the OR Tambo Special Economic Zone has got 3 land parcels. It's got Precinct 1, which we've just completed developing. This is Precinct 2. We've got another precinct in Springs. We call it the Springs Precinct. Yes, which measures just under 14 hectares. So we've got 3 land parcels that have been designated as part of the Special Economic Zone.
We're looking a little bit distant future now. Roughly or estimately, how many jobs do you expect to create from this? Because now we're talking about construction again, and then there's training again, and there's tenants again. So an estimate idea of how many jobs you think can be created from this?
Okay, based on our assessment of what we were able to do at Precinct 1, we estimate that we'll be able to create about 6,000 jobs, right from construction up to investors operating in this particular facility. We expect that about 6,000 jobs will be created.
And I think as we bring this conversation to a close, and it's also a throw forward, I suppose, because the national budget announcement was quite recently, and we're looking forward to the Gauteng provincial budget announcement. Your hopes on getting some additional funding allocated?
Yes, we hope that actually, so we've got funding to install bulk services. That's what we're currently doing. But we've spoken, or had discussions with province that we're going to be applying for funding at national for top structures. However, the model that we have also gives an opportunity to investors to also put up their top structure. So we'll have that combination. Government will put up top structures, and where the investors feel that they want to put up top structures because they are in a rush to become operational, we'll also give them that allowance or that permission. So it will be a combination of government and private sector working together to get this facility working.
Sorry, one final last question. So we also have the Gauteng Investment Conference coming up, which is also a nice lead or build up to both the G20 and the B20. What does that synergy look like for you?
Well, with the role of the Special Economic Zone, it's very simple, as I said. The very bane of our existence is to attract investments into province, into the country. So we work very closely with the Department of Economic Development. We work closely with the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition to ensure that we all know what the other one is doing, to ensure that we target industries that are going to create jobs, or sectors that are going to create jobs, where we're going to see young people learning new skills, new technologies. So, we all work together to ensure that government achieves this big milestone, or this big plan of ensuring that we've got investments which create jobs in our country, and where there's local manufacturing of various products.
And that's how we end off this highlight special. My name is Giamo Mosipili. From me and the rest of the CNBC Africa team, it's goodbye for now.